Hello and welcome to Dubai Watch Week SecondHand. I'm a digital representation of Sada.
And I'm CQ's virtual avatar.
But how does the value of this on your screen compare to the real thing? And more to the point, what role do watch NFTs have in the luxury watch market?
This panel was a bit different to the others because they weren't actually talking about real watches.
And it was hosted by someone who apparently didn't check one.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not a morning person, so for me, this is morning at 11:08.
Christopher, my sweet child. First, it was meant to start at 11. And second, 11:08 is barely morning.
I don't know. I don't tell you. What's the rush? We could have started at 12. Everything would have been okay. I like the way this guy thinks.
Well, listen, at a conference about time, I don't want to go overtime.
Oh, no.
And we are at 11:45.
So CQ, you trade real watches that you're able to hold in your hands. How do you feel about this whole NFT thing?
Well, one of my colleagues from Watchbox is on the panel, so I can't be too mean. But for me, NFTs is, I don't know, still a big question mark. Yes, I see that there is some utility, but for me, it's a lot of people just trying to, find a job for themselves a little bit. I think there's a big world where NFTs are concerned, but do we even need it in the industry? Me personally, I don't think past a few applications is that necessary.
But I think it's great for artists that are able to get a cut from every trade. I think that's a great thing. The fact that you can have a larger pool of watch lovers, that's first step into the watch industry, is not necessarily through a physical product due to scarcity. And the fact that it appeals to the Gen Z that we normally don't appeal to because watches are a bit of an aspirational product. So all in all, I'm actually very excited about NFTs.
One of the things that's hard for people to understand when they think of a crypto collectible is how can something be valuable when you can't touch it, right? It's a very visceral experience you have when you hold something like a watch with such history, such permanence, such craftsmanship.
So here's the question. Can you have the same authentic visceral experience with a digital object? What does authenticity even mean?
I don't know, but they sure said it a lot of times during this panel. Let's get that authenticity counter up.
Authentication.
Authenticity.
Authentication. Authenticate.
Well, they do sound like they're really trying to convince themselves.
Maybe if I say authentic enough, it'll become true. If I was speaking from my own heart, authentically, I say that physical watches are easy to understand and you can touch them.
That's true.
What side is your heart?
Left. The same side as your watch. Is that a coinky dinky or...
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Meanwhile, NFTs only exist digitally, and that's tough to explain. Even our moderator agrees. Presenting the mom test.
Someone who talks about NFTs for a living, they are still very misunderstood, and they are incredibly difficult to explain to your mother. Just try it. I tried it a few weeks ago, and my mom's a very smart lady, but it was still a pretty challenging conversation.
I don't know. Is that a good metric? There are loads of things my mom doesn't understand that are totally legitimate.
I understand. It's like TikTok dances, sending a text without saying, this is your mom, men with ponytails.
Sorry, Nicholas. I think your hair and your digital art looks great, but my mom doesn't understand either of them.
So beautiful.
Needless to say, we have some questions, and so does watch designer Fiona Kruger from the audience.
Maybe one last question, so we'll stay on time.
Here.
Round 2, fight.
My question is, though, what was it about using NFTs to kind of tap into that patronage aspect rather than, say, a tool like Patreon? You know what I mean? Because in a sense, they're both roads to having that sort of patronage side of things. And it would be interesting to understand why it is that the NFT side you feel was more valuable, or I don't know, it gave you a better connection, or...
I don't know if we're hard stop. We're going to do...
Finish her!
No, Fiona, no.
Don't start, you blow the whole thing up.
NFTs will be the biggest thing ever. Our authentic panel authentically says so.
This is something that's here to stay. This is something that more brands and more luxury brands and even artists are going to keep working with. And it might take other shapes. It might not just be an NFT. It might be something completely different, not just an NFT, just a different type of crypto token.
And I think those kind of opportunities are really important for artists. And it's a nice way for brands to kind of collaborate and encourage the space and kind of build that community. So
if you're an independent brand, it allows almost a futures market to be created. Perhaps gives you the right to purchase a watch at a future date. and that once purchased, there's a utility to it. And, maybe it entitles you to a trip to Switzerland or collectors meetups in New York, something that creates a sense of community, even without having the watch.
A use case, finally.
Plus, there's digital tracking. They say they're tethered, but are they really tethered? Is the location of the watch and its whereabouts always tied to the NFT?
That's tricky because it's not like your car, right? There is no GPS inside of this watch. There's so much extra steps that a consumer has to think about. So I think it's, I'm still on the fence on the whole thing, I'll be honest.
So if I steal your NFT, does that mean I get your watch?
It's a good question. Another panelist is also skeptical.
There's a lot of complications, right? You sell a watch or you trade a watch, and for whatever reason, the token itself doesn't get transferred. Like, who owns the watch? Like, what happens then? So I think that there's a lot of complications that can arise from it, but it's in its infancy.
I definitely think NFTs will be sticking around. I think it might take various forms, but I definitely think it's an extension to the already existing internet, and there's no way we're going to go back. I think it's here to stay. I think it's going to grow legs, and it's going to turn into this very pretty NFT monster.
I'd agree with you there. It's just about what's going to be the final form. Maybe it's just part of the evolution as we turn into our digital selves. Yeah?
I mean, yeah.
Our young children will care more about their online presence, what their Twitter or Instagram or whatever the next platform page looks like, than what they look.
People caring more about their digital presence doesn't necessarily negate the fact that they're still concerned about their physical presence, which I think was your point too. They just use it as a way to kind of bolster their social status, I think, when they're in a physical space like this.
If there's going to be the next generation of audience who's going to care so much more about the digital side, if that's the case, then that doesn't mean that the physical side or the IRL side will be obsolete. If anything, it's going to add more visibility and people are going to learn more about, let's say, watches, even if their first entry point is digitally.
So we're going to this world where people's digital selves matter to them more than their physical self. What are we supposed to do?
That's scary that we're only going to be our digital selves, but we'll have digital watches, so I'm not that scared.
I will have a very big digital watch collection.
That's true, you will.
That's true.
I mean, you should have just a strong password is what I'd recommend.
Well,
when you're giving someone an NFT, what you're essentially doing is giving them a wallet with a digital good in it. And in the same way that I have a 6-year-old son and I recently gave him a wallet and I put $1 in it once in a while and he feels very special. That's what you're doing when you give someone an NFT. You're creating an intimate relationship where you can continue to reward that consumer through this shared wallet which holds this in it.
Our panelists go into way more depth about where the field is going. Watch the full video to get ahead of the curve.
Do you agree with them? Disagree? Click on the link and dig in.
And tell us in the comments how you feel. I've been Cyber CQ Gottlieb.
And for me, the non-fungible Sarah Behman, it's goodbye and see you next time. By the way, CQ, you should have chosen a better NFT password.
How'd you do that?
Bye.
Hey, freaks. Read by my watch.
So that was good.